Hi, everybody. Today we're going to cover addition with counters. When we're talking about adding and subtracting with counters, you're going to have to know what a zero pair is. So in both this video and the subtraction video, I'm going to go over and review what a zero pair is before I get to modeling. So let's go ahead and start with that. A zero pair is a pair of numbers whose sum equals 0. Okay, so how we see this is using these counters. Remember, I introduced it with a fire flame and an ice cube. When we put those two together, they kind of cancel each other out. So looking at these counters, if we have a positive counter and one negative counter, it's like they cancel each other out, right? This positive counter represents a positive 1. This negative counter represents a negative 1. And if we were to add those two together, it's going to equal 0. They cancel each other out. Okay, so because their sum equals 0, we can make as many zero pairs as we like. We know that sum is going to equal 0, so they cancel each other out. So let's do some practice here. If we're looking at this bunch of counters for this activity, let's make as many zero pairs as we can, because each zero pair is going to equal 0, and whatever's left over is going to be our answer. Here's a zero pair. Here's another one. Another one. So these are all the zero pairs it looks like I can make. I know that each one of those pairs cancel each other out, so they equal 0. So whatever I have left over, these three counters, positive counters, are going to be my answer. So our answer is a positive 3. Let's try another one. Again, we're adding, so these counters, I'm just going to make as many zero pairs as possible. Looks like I'm going to be able to make 5 zero pair sets, right? I know that each one of these equals 0, so they cancel each other out. They have no value. And what I have left over, 1, 2, 3, 4, for 5, I have 5 negative counters. So our answer is negative 5. Let's do, I think we got 2 more. Okay, same thing. Can I make any zero pairs? I can only make 1 pair there. I'm out of negative counters. My answer, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 positive counters, so my answer is going to be 11. One more. Can I make any zero pairs? I don't have any positive counters. I can't make any zero pairs, so my answer is just what's remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 counters, and they are negative, so my answer is a negative 12. Okay, so a zero pair is when we have a positive and a negative, and when we put those two together, it equals 0. They cancel each other out. It has no value. Okay, so now I think we're ready to look at modeling addition using counters. 5 plus 3. Okay, so we just have a positive 5 and we're adding a positive 3. What does that look like? I know you guys can tell me that that equals 8, but let's model it. We're using the yellow counters because our key says yellow is a positive 1, and we're working with positive numbers here. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off with 5 positive counters. And then I'm adding 3 positive counters. So let's add 3 more. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put them in its own box. And then our answer is just what we have here. We can't make any zero pairs. Our answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 positive counters. So our answer is 8. Okay, so we started off easy. What happens if they are negative? This time we have a negative 3 plus a negative 2. So same thing, I'm going to model my first number here, negative 3. So we're working with these red counters. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to add a negative 2. I'm going to add 2 more negative counters. 1, 2. I can't make any zero pairs. So my answer is we have negative 5 counters. Okay, so far we've only ever looked at positive counters. We only ever looked at negative counters. Okay, so now this example, we're mixing our counters now. Let's see what happens. I'm going to model my first number, just a positive 1. So that's what that's going to look like. And then we are adding a negative 1. We're adding a negative counter. Okay, so when I bring over this red counter, I noticed, what do we have there? We have a zero pair, right? We have a positive, we have a negative. So what happens to those two? They kind of cancel each other out there. It's a zero pair, they equal 0. So our answer is going to be 0. because we have nothing left over. We were able to make one 0 pair. We've got nothing left over, so our answer is 0. Okay, let's do the same thing here. We're modeling our first number, -3. So I'm going to drag over 3 negative counters, 1, 2, 3, and then we're adding a +3. Okay, so now we're looking at adding these yellow counters, +3, and that's it. How many 0 pairs can we make? 1, 2, 3 0 pairs. We know that each one of those has a value of 0. We're left with no counters, so our answer here is going to be 0. Okay? So you'll notice that 0 pairs are sums that equal 0, but they're also opposites of each other. If we looked at our first example here, we have 1 and a -1 equal 0. This one, we have a -3 and a 3. They are opposite numbers. They're going to make pairs, perfect pairs, and it's going to be, our answer is going to be 0. Okay, let's keep on going. Here we have -6 plus 2. So go ahead and model your first number, -6. We're using these red counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This time we don't have opposite numbers. We don't have a -6 and a +6. We have a -6 plus 2. So let's go ahead and add our +2. Okay, so this time, let's see, how many 0 pairs can we make? We can make 1, 2 0 pairs. We know that each one of those equals 0. So what do we have left over? We have 4 counters left over, and they are negative. So our answer is -4. Okay, same method. Model our first number first. -3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we are adding +4. So let's go ahead and add 4 positive yellow counters. 3, 4. Can I make any 0 pairs? Well, it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3 0 pairs. I know each one of those equals 0, so I'm just going to cross those out. And what I have left over is my answer. I have a 1 positive counter left over. So my answer for -3 plus 4 is 1. Okay, 9 plus a -2. Same thing. Let's start with our first number before we do anything. Go ahead and start with your first number. 1, 2, 3, and we're using our positive yellow counters because that's what my key says. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then we are adding 2 negative counters, right? We're adding a -2. So 1, 2. How many 0 pairs can I make? There's 1. Here's another one. I'm going to go ahead and cross those out because they equal 0. They have no value. And then what am I left with? I'm left with a +7. Okay, looks like we've got 2 more examples. 5 plus a -6. Model our first number here. 5, +5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we are adding a -6. So we're adding to our little chart here 6 negative counters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Can I make any 0 pairs? Looks like I can make quite a few here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 0 pairs. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cross those out, each 0 pair. And what I'm left with is my answer. I'm left with 1 counter, and it is red. It's negative, so -1. Oh, never mind. I don't have another example for you. Okay, so I hope that helps. It doesn't matter what the sign is. You're going to do the same method each time. You're going to start with modeling your first number, whether it's positive or negative, model that. And then we're adding to our table here whatever the second number is. See how many 0 pairs you can make, and then what is left over is going to be your answer.